going to start by asking, when you got into this business, it looks like you had a proven track record on the other side.
Yes, sir.
Um, is social services or a mental health counselor, and clearly I know that has helped you with what we do in this business. So speak on that briefly, and then we're headed somewhere else.
Okay. It definitely has helped. When I was in the social services field, I worked with a lot of at-risk youth. I had a lot of behavioral challenges, mental health challenges, mental health diagnoses. They were taking psychotropic medications. They exhibited behaviors of suicidal behaviors. They wanted to harm themselves, harm somebody else. They would run away. They were juvenile delinquents, like the whole 9 yards. And the program I was a part of, the main key was about wrapping around services. So everything just didn't follow one person to affect this young man or this young woman's life, or to have an overall positive impact on the family as a whole. So a lot of my education came with, speaking with the parents, speaking with people in the school district, talking to judges, probation officers, begging and pleading to bring them back home, putting in safety plans, the whole nine. And so I did a lot of that work in Mississippi.
Hmm.
And when we moved here to Texas, I changed populations. So I started working with adults with disabilities,
Okay.
and that was a completely different shift
Yes.
because they had caregivers, caretakers, um, and what we had to do was go in and just make sure they were not being abused, neglected, taken advantage of, and things of that nature. So it was a shift, but still kind of in that same lane.
And I think that clearly that helps you navigate these crazy waters of dealing with buyers and sellers,
Definitely.
a community, especially in my neighborhood, that is. I mean, I've got one. Two of them. They just moved into facilities, active
Right.
adult facilities, or that kind of thing. And I think there's so many. I say personalities,
Right.
difference of opinions, divorce
Right.
that I'm sure that experience has helped you navigate that because I'm dealing with a divorce right now,
Right.
and it's challenging. So um,
Right. And
kudos for that.
those skills were very transferable.
Yes.
So when I'm speaking with a family, I did a lot of my interviewing skills and that training in the social services arena. Because if I say the wrong thing, it wasn't just losing a deal. It was the house would just get turned upside down. There would be punching holes in the wall. Somebody
Yeah.
would try to exit. So I had to be very careful on the things that I said. It really helped me with like my listening skills, just being in tune and being able to pair it and adapt to those different styles of people that I talk to. So in real estate, when I go in, every one of my listing appointments are different. I have a presentation, I have, everything that I go by, but the families, the dynamics, their situation, everything is different. And I tune in to those situations more so than how much money you want to walk away with, the house is 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, all of those things. Like you can find all of that information.
Right.
So whenever that information is being shared, the that their sense of urgency, it just stands out like a light bulb. And so
Hmm.
when we have to have those hard conversations, I can almost always tie it back to let's not forget the real reason and why that you're trying to sell or you're trying to move to another place, and change your environment. So it's definitely helped in that way.
And hearing you, I think the key component there that was not stated is having a good ear to listen,
Yeah, definitely.
right? Yeah. And I think um, Ray, you'll find that typically Seth and his crew, they're always on. And so I love these messages because I think you've been doing this for how long now?
7 years now.
7 years. And most of the folks that are setting in class, there are some newbies on here. I see folks who, like Joan, I mean, they've got a wealth of experience. I think
Right.
it's always important for me. I love speaking to that group because they're fresh, they're excited, right? And we don't want them to lose the enthusiasm
Right.
But they also need to know that, I mean, this is tough. This is a tough business, and you've got to bring so many different skills to the
Right.
table. And I think one of the most important ones is just the ability to listen to
Right.
people. And when you do that, and you've done this, I know because I have, I've walked away and realized, dang, I think I spoke for about 5 minutes and they spoke for 42 minutes. And
Yes.
they thought it was the best meeting they've ever
Yes.
had because
Yes.
they got a chance
Yes.
to load and hear themselves.
Yeah.
So,
And let me tell you, when I first got in, I didn't just immediately started to adapt those skills that I already had. I thought I had to be a different person. I thought I had to do real estate a certain way. So I can remember my first listing appointment. It was horrible.
yeah.
It lasted about 2.5 hours. My presentation was about 60 pages long, and it looked great. But at the end of the day, my presentation, the documents I went in with was better than me. And so it was, I mean, it was really, really bad. And I always have a habit of just kind of assessing how did that meeting go? How did that conversation go? How can I do better? And I had a coach and a mentor from day one, and still have coaches and mentors even to this day. And we reviewed it, and it's like, that's not you. That's a representation of you, but that's not you. Like, put that aside, go back to what you know. And then from that point on, I just chipped away at it and got better and better and better until it's the presentation that I have now.
Right. And well, again, what I heard was, you know what, um, do and then do better and
Oh,
then do
absolutely.
better, right? And then do
Absolutely.
better. So again, don't beat yourself because you know what? It's funny. You remember your first. I think we all remember our first. In my first, I was so afraid that fortunately my team leader mentor at the time, he's like, you know what, Ben, I'll go with you. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh hell. He went with me, and it was the best thing that could have happened because
All
I
right.
thought I was smooth, but then all of
Yeah.
a sudden he knew exactly when to jump into conversation,
Yeah.
move it in this direction. And because of that, I mean, I've taken probably 30 or 40 agents with me on appointments just to kind of
Right.
see how I do things. Because, he shared with me and I'm always like you. And I
Right.
think that's why we're like this,
Yeah.
because we love supporting and helping, because we know we're going to get ours, man. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's just good karma. So again, thank you for sharing that because I think that's a great message to hear, regardless of whether you're brand new in this business or you've been
Right.
doing it for 37 years, right? Sometimes we got to listen. And we have to understand that we're going to attract our tribe
Oh, yeah.
if you're being authentically you.
Oh, yeah.
You just you can fake it occasionally, but I don't think that'll serve you well in the long run.
No, not at all. And even with me having a social services background, I don't really speak about it in real estate, but those are the clients that I attract. There are a lot of public service, police officers, teachers, other counselors. Some of us, we end up working kind of in similar fields. And I say, you know what, I used to service, that industry, and we just make a strong connection
Yes.
without knowing up front that that's what we have as far as our similarities. So yeah, definitely. People can kind of pick up on that, and you'll definitely attract that tribe.
There you go. Let me ask you about this because, again, the year just started, and I think many of us, and I'm one, I'm excited about what I think 2026 holds in store for us. What are you thinking for 2026? And then I want to get into if there's one thing that you're doing completely different that you haven't done. I think that's
Mhm.
important too. So your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I'm super excited about 2026. I think it's going to be very positive for our sellers. I think this last quarter of last year was really rough for them. And there's a lot of different conversations that we had to have toward the end. But now that we've turned over into the new year, I think it's going to be moving in a positive direction for them. I think there'll still be opportunities for our buyers. So the ones that have been on the sideline a little bit, that have been waiting, I think they're just going to jump out there, and we're going to have a great year this year.
I hope that's the case. And I know everyone's talking about the interest rates dipping below
Right,
6. I'm seeing some reports that say we're probably gonna bounce a little bit,
right,
but I
right.
think that mentally, it's an important metric for them to hear, and especially since I think we've seen the media jump on it a little bit. I think
Right,
they can help our industry by not always preaching doom and gloom. Right now, they're going, okay, rates are moving down.
right,
So I think clearly, now is a great opportunity for them, but I also agree that I think we're going to start to see things improve for our sellers. Prime example, I listed a couple of them on last Friday. One we've already executed. I'm expecting an offer on the other one today, and
mm,
even even open houses. It was crazy on Saturday. I think we had 11 visitors. Sunday, I had
wow,
like 25 visitors at the one I hosted. So I hope that that current trend continues, and I believe it will. And I've said the same thing to most that I've talked to in the last week, 2 or 3, or even month. 2026 is going to be better. One, because I freaking said so. I'm saying so. I'm manifesting it. And with that said, is there something that Ray Meeks is going to do in 2026, maybe that you haven't done, or you're going to improve upon?
right.
Anything?
Yeah, so for me, I'm big on education. I'm big on
Yes, you are. And you well, I'm going to speak on that in a second. I got to ask you about that. Yeah.
I'm big on teaching. So at one point, when I first got into the industry, I used to do first time home buyer seminars, and then just throughout the course of my career, I just kind of backed off a little bit. And so this year, I'm going to go back to my educational seminars, and I'm going to start with new home construction seminars. And the reason being is, even with information that's being shared about our industry, a lot of time it's not coming from us. Like you say, the media starts to share that information. And sometimes it's true, sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative, and we can kind of piggyback off of that information. But I think it's important for us to go deeper. And so, as different areas are growing and developing, they have new construction that's popping up here and there. There's a lot of agents, including myself, that would share, hey, this is a new area, this is a new subdivision, here are the builders. But I think there's another piece that's missing, that going deeper. And I want to take it a step further than, showing the new designs in the kitchens or the new flooring and all of those things. I want to really show you, how can this be yours? How can we make this possible? Because everybody's path is going to be a little bit different. So if I can get in front of an audience of 10 or 15 people and say, here's the overview of us going a little bit deeper to a level 2 or level 3. Now that you have that information, let's go down even deeper to level 4, level 5, and let's have a one-on-one conversation. So that's going to be my focus for 2026.
And I know you had told me about it a while back, and I was
Yeah,
excited. And I mean, even your collaboration with the builders, right?
yeah,
Because they're excited, I think, about having you. And I think again, it speaks to, you know what, sometimes ask. Just
yeah,
ask,
yeah,
right? Because we sit here and think, well, oh man, they won't let me come in. They won't let me do this, won't let me do
right.
that. You don't know if you don't ask,
That's true.
right? Closed
That's
mouths
true.
don't get fed, that kind of thing. And so I'm excited about that. But again, that's who you are. And I think you have such a servant's heart. And and I know that it's promoted your business. It's who you are,
Right.
education. And I know I saw the Goldman Sachs thing. I wanted to ask you about that. How did that even come about? And what's one thing that you learned from that whole experience? Because I never even heard about it.
Right. So that experience came about from a referral from another person that went through the program. They were a realtor as well, and then thought I would be a good fit for it. So I went in, took a look at the information. It was a very, very intense 14-week program. I mean, the calendar is already set. These are hard dates, and you have to be present 100% of the time. And went through, applied, and was able to get accepted in the program. And it's basically a mini MBA program.
Yes.
And a lot of us, well, I can speak for myself. I got into the industry with a lot of interpersonal skills. I can develop a relationship. I can develop the core, but I've never taken any business classes. I've never taken any finance classes. So that's what the whole concept of that program is. And there's some social media aspects to it, and there's some generating leads, but not necessarily from a real estate aspect. I was in a group of, it was about 40 of us, the largest group that they've had so far. And there were people from all kinds of industries. There were chiropractors, there were sonographers, there were people that were selling candy, there were people that were, I mean, whatever industry you can think of was under that roof. And what I really learned from that experience is even though we have different backgrounds, we all have the same struggles. There were
Right.
people that got in the industry 1 year, 2 years. There are other people that have been in the industry 10, 15, 20 years. And we were all asking very similar questions, trying to move the needle forward. And so the assumption is if you do something for a long period of time, then you're an expert at it. Not necessarily.
Right.
Not necessarily. So you have to go, you have to dig, and you have to reach for those skills to say, what's going to sharpen in my tool belt? There are some skills that I do bring to the table, but what tools am I missing? And that's what I learned most from that program. And we've laughed, we've cried, we shared so much personal information. Now that's part of my extended family. We still keep in communication now, and we can communicate and collaborate and steady encourage each other even to this day.
Right. Again, collaboration, I think, is the key. I know you met some contacts there that you will do business with,
Yeah,
and you'll do life with, and I think
yeah,
that's what's so cool. Again, I don't want this message to be lost. And I think that regardless of whether you've done it for 37 years or
yeah,
37 weeks, right? If you don't invest in you,
yeah,
and that's what you're doing, you're investing in you, which ultimately will help your business. But I think first and foremost, it helps you. How
yeah,
can you help anybody else if you're not helping you?
absolutely.
Right. And again, I know it's funny. Destiny is going to remind me because by the end of this week, I'm booking my trip to Atlanta.
Okay,
And when I look at my schedule, I travel about 5 times a year, 6 times to different events. The money that I spend is crazy, but I'm like, oh no, that's just an investment. That's an investment in me. Are you kidding me?
absolutely,
And I look
absolutely.
forward to some of that. And so I understand sometimes you're just getting started. You've come off a bad year. You
Right.
might not have the budget, but I'm like, you know what? That's not an expense. That's just an investment. And
Yeah,
that we got to continue to grow. Got to
yeah,
continue to grow.
that's true.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you this, man, because I want to touch on you are in, and I say that 380 corridor where you live, right? Right. I think you're having success that others are not. Because I've got agents who go, oh my goodness, Aubrey, Providence Village, I don't want anything. And yet you are the one who are succeeding. You're the one who's got a name and reputation. Now, I've got a United agent, a Fathom agent that are saying, yeah, I haven't met him, but I know that guy. I'm seeing his work, I'm seeing his success. What is it, man, that you're doing that
Mhm.
they are not? And what makes you number one in that area? Because you are.
Right. Well, I think it's just a gathering of information over time. So again, it wasn't overnight success, like at all. In fact, when I first started, I was adamant about avoiding my neighborhood. I did not want to be the agent. I did not want to be the number one, and it was because the area was not necessarily saturated, but there were already dominant agents in this market already. So I'm like, I didn't want to compete. So let me go to Forney. Let me go to Fort Worth, which is about an hour and a half away from me. Let me go to DeSoto, where the area that I used to work. And it wasn't until I think it was right around COVID, a little bit after COVID, where a sign popped up across the street. And my daughter said, well, Daddy, that house is for sale, but your name is not on it. And it was a light bulb moment. It just sparked like, okay, that makes so much sense. I have the skills, I have the knowledge, like, why not? And so I just started to just get involved and there was some natural things where I would go to school events that my kids were they were having, AV on the road ceremonies and things like that, just showing up.
Oh, wow.
And then our community is very active anyway. So I joined our adult softball league. It's 10, 15 teams. All of us are homeowners. All of us live in the neighborhood. And we just get out there and we just have fun. And as I started to start increasing my Facebook friends, people just started noticing the real estate activity. And that's where my first listing referral came from the adult softball team. And it was this guy, he introduced me to her, and she was a FISBO. She was for sale by owner. Like, hey, she's trying to sell a house on her own. I think y'all should meet. And that was on a Saturday. I met her on a Wednesday, and we listed our house by that Friday. It was basically a come list me call.
Yes.
And and I started to just kind of replay that scenario. One of my first buyers came from that adult softball league as well. He was a captain of one of the teams. And man, I'm thinking about buying a house. Hey, I'm an agent. And so those conversations started to happen very organically. And then I started shifting to we have a nonprofit organization in our neighborhood. It's the Providence Village Hope Foundation. I was approached to be a part of that organization. And at the time, my plate was full. I said, I don't know if I'm ready for it. So then about 3 months, 6 months later, they came back and said, we think you'll be a good fit for it. And I got on the board. And then I moved up to be president of the organization. So I'm current president right now. Also got approached of being on the planning and zoning committee. So all of these different, opportunities, people would just kind of tap me on the shoulder and say, we think you'll be a good fit for it. And
Yes.
that's where it started. And I think I would rather have it happen organically that
Yes.
way.
Yes.
Just me trying to fit somewhere that I don't necessarily belong or
Right.
something that I'm not even interested in. And I think that's important too, is agents are trying to find out what's that thing or that it can't be what I do. It can't be what Ben does. It have to be things that you're already interested in.
Right.
And so my level of involvement just came organically in that manner. And I have a vested interest here because I live here. My wife is here. My kids go to school here. They're involved in activities and things of that nature. So when I get a phone call about a house that I have for sale, it's not the 3 bedrooms, the 2 bath. We're an active community. We have volleyball courts, basketball courts. We have all of these different amenities. And if that's not you, that's fine. We have some people that are quiet, that are reserved, and that still feel like they belong here in this community. And when you leave, once you're here, you may move, but you're always still a part of Providence Village. And that's the message that I send to those buyer agents. And that's the message that they share with their buyers because they have different backgrounds. Some are, single, some don't have kids, some do have kids, some have families or what have you. And I can speak to a specific neighbor without giving their name and describe their experience living here. And it's just different from other, viewings or showings that they may have had.
Right.
Also, I carry a lot of inventory. So I'll have your 1 story, your 1.5, and your 2 stories listed all at the same time, different price points. So if this house doesn't work, I have another house that I'm going to promote that's going to be
Right.
your listing as well. So when I share that information, if I'm, interviewing for the job, I say, well, I already have these houses here. I don't have a house like yours. I would love to add that to my inventory.
Right.
And that's what kind of set me apart.
Well, well, again, you just keep doing it. And again, the operative word I heard was involvement.
Yes.
Okay. And so I think, like you here in Preston Highlands, yeah, I live here. I have a vested interest, right? I've
Right.
got one on the market. I got one coming next week. I've got one in my back pocket. That didn't happen overnight, but it
Right.
did happen organically. And the crazy thing is, it took the exact same thing that happened to you. I kept seeing Carol Beasley, who's my arch nemesis. Carol, in 1 year, she made over 350,000 just from the sales in my neighborhood. And I
Wow.
decided that all I needed to do was just take one off her plate.
Yeah.
And it took a year and a half for me to move her from being the dominant agent to me.
Yeah.
simply because I felt like I had a vested interest and I started speaking to the heart of other
Right.
residents here in Preston Highlands, right? And they knew that, yes, money was important, but the experience, the connection was also important. And here I am today. So keep doing it, man. Keep doing
Thank
it.
you. And also
Again,
to that point, um, as a licensed agent, we're licensed in the whole entire state of Texas, right? And so my first mindset was I'm going anywhere and everywhere. Wherever the business goes, that's where I'm going to go. And when I was given the idea of you need to get smaller, I'm like,
yes,
no, well, if I get smaller, then I'm missing,
yes,
other opportunities is kind of the mindset. And then when I went ahead and just doubled down on it, my best years have come when I've gotten smaller,
yep.
best years. And so I'm going to just carry that concept forward, continue to stay small, just continue to do what I do best. And, you know, we have a huge subject. We have over 2,500 homes, over 2,500. So there's plenty of opportunity. And this
Yes.
is just the tip of the iceberg. So I'm definitely going deeper and deeper and can kind of see how my years are going to get better and better by doing so. So I'll advise anybody else if they've kind of received that advice about getting bigger by going smaller, it definitely works.
And I think at our launch kickoff the other day, Rory was speaking to that message also, really,
Oh,
because
yeah.
sometimes, yeah, yeah, you got to go small to go big,
Yeah.
and you, if you're doing all these different things, I mean, your efforts and your focus is diluted.
Yeah.
So
Yes, definitely.
go small to go big. Okay, my last question, because
Sure.
again, time moves so quickly. Ray, I think what is Ray Meeks? What's Ray Meeks' superpower?
Superpower.
Mhm.
I think my superpower is making the complicated uncomplicated.
Oof, oof, baby.
Not easy.
Uh-oh.
Not
Uh-oh.
easy, not easy. But
Yes.
when things are cloudy, when things are cloudy, decisions aren't made. They kind of stay in that fog, and it hinders the process, whether you're working with buyer or seller. And so I would rather spend way more time on the front end just to make it not as cloudy. And it may not be crystal clear, but it can be a little less complicated than what you thought. And then that makes you move to the next step. Now that we're here together because I can't predict everything that's going to happen within this transaction, but I can help you move from this step to this step with clarity. And once we're here, we're going to figure out the next steps as well. Because I've seen these processes 100 times over, and I can give you an overview of what this is going to look like. And by just taking that time and going through, I can see the pent up energy is just releases like,
Yes.
okay, let's do
Yes.
that. Where do I sign?
Yes.
Where do I sign? So I think that's part of my superpower.
That's a hell of a superpower. Man, put your damn cape on, dog. Put your cape on. That's you. That's you. I love it, man. I can't thank you enough. Seth, I see you standing there. You don't have a question, do you? If you do, okay, cool. I was like, because I don't want to miss it, man. Because again, Ray, you'd also mentioned something else, man. You mentioned when you've been accepting of when you've received that tap on the shoulder.
Right.
And I think we need to be prepared because I look at the leaders on this call. Seth is definitely one. He's gotten a tap. Uh, I think Seth is going to get another tap because he's doing amazing things, my brother.
Oh,
So, Seth, keep doing what you're doing. But
absolutely.
I think my point here is that, you know what, sometimes that tap isn't necessarily this now.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's this. And I
True.
think we've got to be open. And when it happens, we got to lean in. And you have done an amazing job of just doing that, being prepared, being ready to serve, and you're serving at the highest level. And like I said, I am so excited for our leadership team here this year to have Ray Meeks's voice included in, and not on the sideline, but you're
Yes,
right
sir.
smack dab in the middle of it. So, man, let's do this. Let's do it. Guys, I appreciate you guys jumping on today because I'm telling you, if you didn't get some meat from this week's call, that's a you problem because Ray, you brought it, man. Yeah, I mean,
Thanks.
you touched on so many different things, and again, the value is there because in the absence of, right, you brought it today, so I appreciate you. Guys, I believe 2026, like Ray, is going to be an amazing year for us, but for
Yes, sir.
especially for those of us who are willing to lean in, right? We know that it's not going to be easy,
No,
but success is simple. It's not easy, right? For
absolutely.
those of us who are willing to lean in, and again, this is so important. Collaboration, I also believe, is the key. I'm so fortunate. I've got other brokerages, Fathom, Ebby Halliday, EXP Real, right now that agents that I mentor with and collaborate
Yeah,
with, because it's going to take that joint effort to move the needle forward for all of us.
it
So
is.
don't be afraid.
It is.
Anything else, Ray? Anything else before we go?
Well, I just want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to come on to come on your platform. I've seen your roster. I see the people that you have here, and I'm just honored to be a guest and just given the opportunity to share the little bit of wisdom that I do have.
Little bit, a lot, man. Let's go. Thank you again, guys. I hope to see you again next week. Let's go make it a great week. Somebody needs our help, and it's our responsibility to go find them. Let's
Yeah.
go.